Hello, Zeteo here. Today we're going to be doing a speedcast, a small team speedcast at that. This is going to be a somewhat higher level game. We do have a couple of lower OS kind of players, so we'll see a mix of players in this one. It is a 4v4. Let's jump into it.
Game started.
All right, so what do we got? We got Delfea spawned as our green Armada, no, Cortex player. His ally Fiddler 112, also Cortex, spawned in the middle here, and at the very bottom their last ally Asrathi. I guess I'm sorry if I butcher your name. I'm not really good at pronunciations. But anyways, they are our lower OS teal player at the bottom here. On the other side of things, though, we got Hasinfefa. I apologize again. I'm not good at pronouncing or figuring out names. But yes, our lower OS player against lower OS player. This is our orange Armada guy at the bottom left. And their ally, Lovish, from the Stud clan, 44 OS, spawned as our Cortex player in the middle. And the last ally on this left-hand side is Irishstud, also from the Stud clan. So these two know each other really, really well, know each other's playstyles, know how to communicate with each other without even communicating and things like that. A little bit of chat here, just stuff going on. But yes, this is actually a 3v3. I don't know if I said 4v4, but it is 3v3. I don't know where I got 4v4 from. But anyways, we got Armada from Irish, just now cranking out a couple of ticks and probably going into a constructor or two afterwards. Looks like 2 constructors, 10 pawns, constructor 5 pawns, 2 constructors, 30 pawns. Interesting build there. Delfea, meanwhile, constructors, resbot, bunch of grunts. So it's going to be an open with bots at the top here. And it looks like bots versus vehicles on the bottom, or on the center side. And then, yeah, orange getting these ticks out here. Teal's going to have to respond and get these ticks on here to defend. Unfortunately, that tick was facing away, so it didn't get the last shot off, and the orange tick took that. Meanwhile, there is a yellow tick poking around up here at Delphea's base as well. Let's see, yeah, and Khan's assisting. So no Khan coming out here yet from Delfea to expand, but yeah, 3 Khans now on the lab. Okay, so he's going to send 1 Khan out to expand. His commander might be pulled off here in a minute as well, but really needs to crank out some defenders or something. He needs to get his commander or something over here to help out. Looks like commander just now moving. The Khan is taking damage. The one rover or tick or whatever it was got eaten there. And now, yeah, the repair is actually pretty good. So these Khans are indeed going to live despite all that. And yeah, just cranking out continuous Khans here. No grunts. Okay, finally a grunt comes out to shoo these away. Jeez, just all the repairing. The fact that he didn't take damage there is pretty astonishing, honestly. But yeah, Fiddler poking out here with his commander as well. Khan building a light laser tower. It looks like this rover is just going to go elsewhere to try to find damage, and knowing that guard's going to be up in due time, and the likelihood of that rover or rascal dealing damage is going to be pretty slim here. I just realized I didn't set the speed, so let's do that now. Set speed 1.5. You can see the bottom right here, 1.43 times speed. But yeah, some pawns coming up here as well. So yeah, just continuous harassment in this location, knowing that Delfea doesn't really have a lot here. He does lose a Khan. Pawns do a lot faster damage than the reclaim from the Khans do. But yeah, that Khan gets taken out, and Delfea stabilizes with the help of Fiddler coming up with a couple of grunts as well. So Thug actually being produced pretty quickly here from Delfea. So trying to play a rather... I guess I would call this a technical play, because you're working with these slow units and these faster units and trying to have the exact unit for the job, and a mixture can be really difficult to handle at times for a lot of players. Yeah, it's very easy to just throw away thugs or throw away grunts if you're not careful. But yeah, this is heating up. We got some incisors here coming through, some more pawns from Irish. And yeah, these guys are just poking around, sharking around with these incisors. Meanwhile, at the bottom here, lots of pawns coming out for both these players. And yeah, Orange trying to threaten this location. He's got a commander and some pawns here. Meanwhile, the Khan from Orange is going to be taken out. And yeah, I think this forward lab from Orange is really nice to have, you know, against this, you know, because otherwise without this lab being on the high ground here, it's really hard for him to reinforce this position. It is a lot easier for the teal player in this position to, you know, defend and whatnot. So, you know, just with how close, you know, the fact that the commander had to move to like build this lab and then move up here to do anything else is, you know, really challenging. You know, you can't just like force out a lot of units by having your commander sit there, because you might lose a lot of ground if you don't move your commander forward. So there's a lot of, you know, interesting things to consider in that location. Meanwhile, in the center here, we do have some Whistlers, or I guess I should say some Lashers, up against some Rocket Bots. Now these Lashers can dodge the rocket shots from the Rocket Bots, but, you know, it's a lot harder for the Rocket Bots to deal with this in a way, but, you know, as long as they're getting repaired, I suppose, and as long as he gets this HLT up, he's going to be able to defend this location against these Whistlers who can't really hope to kill something like an HLT in a meaningful amount of time without taking heavy damage, I suppose. But yeah, the battle continues up here. Delphi trying to take the 4.0 mechs, but so is Irish. Irish putting down a beamer to help support this. Now his commander needs to be very careful here. Thugs do outrange the commander, so you know, as long as he stays out of range of the commander and tries to take down this beamer, he should be okay. But yeah, he's got to be really, really careful. I wonder if Irish might try to go for a trade here. If he's able to take out the enemy commander and the thugs, that'd be a huge win. But yeah, it's a couple of cons repairing that commander, you know, trying to make sure that it stays alive. Meanwhile, there's lots of pawns down here. These potentially can threaten the base location of Delphi, so he's got to be really, really careful. Fiddler might have to step in if that's the case, but yeah, this HLT, you know, gonna make sure that these, you know, these Lashers, you know, maybe they should go somewhere else. Maybe they should go up here. But either way, like, Lovish needs to have defense here if he's going to do that. And yeah, he's just got to be really careful. I guess Fiddler decides to push forward here against these Lashers. Lovish is a little slow to retreat just because he might not have expected it. But yeah, this commander's going to have to repair some of these Lashers. And now Irish coming in here with a whole bunch of pawns, you know, keeping those alive, not sending them forward earlier, allows him to do an attack like this at this point in time, takes out the LT before the self-D goes off, and yeah, continues on towards the base. So just finding the nice window of opportunity. Meanwhile, the commander was taken out here at the top here. So Delphi taking out the commander. I think Irish just being a little too preoccupied with his pawns, perhaps losing that commander to the thugs. So yeah, Delphi decides to move his commander up here, secures that wreck. Probably going to get a resbot over there to reclaim it in a moment. But yeah, just getting his commander in a more forward position, maybe going to threaten the base of Irish, and I'm not sure how they're going to be able to respond to that. Meanwhile, there are some pawns at the bottom here from our teal player, Asrathi, coming towards Lovish's base here. Going to be able to take out these wind turbines at the very least, maybe even threaten the bottom base as well. And yeah, there's a bit of an engagement in the middle here as well. So yeah, lots of stuff can happen in small teams. It can be you know, a pretty intense kind of battle. And yeah, Teal just not able to spend, or just not having the APM to move around his rocket bots. So yeah, getting a little too close to those maces, kind of crushing forward. And yeah, he could really threaten this position here, but the rocket bots back here, able to just kind of shoot down this narrow choke, going to be feeling pretty good. Meanwhile, those pawns decide to run back, not go for the main base here. Lovish has built on a lot of light laser towers. It looks like Teal tested the waters and decided to, you know, he scouted and saw that he couldn't get in there, so decides to go a different angle. And yeah, there's actually a Czar out already and takes care of those pawns. So the C2 transition's quite nice, but at the same time, Delphi has degunned the base of Irish. So, you know, Irish in not a good position here. Probably just sharing his metal at this point since he doesn't have a builder. And yeah, this is really scary. This is really hard for Lovish to deal with. He kind of has to worry about 3 angles now, you know, coming at him. So he's got to be, it's quite difficult for a player in that position to deal with all that. Now the back position is a little bit safe. You know, units have to go up all the way around to deal with that. He does have some light laser towers there as well. So, you know, primarily going to be defending from this front position. And the Tsar is doing some nice work. I mean, in terms of, you know, having a fast T2 unit out, Azar's a nice one to have. There's a bombing as well. Fiddler coming in with a bunch of bombers, taking out this position here. And, you know, that is really hard on Orange. You know, even going for the Geo. So, yeah, it's really just Lovish against the world at this point. Now, you know, Orange can recover. He can build a lab and whatnot with his commander in this position. But, you know, Teal's able to threaten it with all these rocket bots and whatnot. So, I think this is a really tricky situation for our team on the left here. Lovish's lab even turning off for a moment. Gets bombs. The bombers get taken out, though. It doesn't go down. So this lab is going to live, and the game will continue. Let's see. Is there any T2 transition from the other team? Not looking like it. So, yeah, basically just T1 units against these T2 units. And Lovish is building another Tsar. So, yeah, I think Lovish's play here is to come up here, expand, take all these mechs, especially since these are, you know, sizable clusters, and continue on trying to eat up a lot of that metal while defending as best he can, and working up a bigger and bigger T2 army. It's kind of up to him to defend with those bigger, stronger T2 units. It's not really a situation where you can really attack, just because it's hard to muster enough things to attack and defend when you're talking about more expensive T2 units. So, you know, the other team on the right-hand side here, the blue team, you know, has, you know, they can kind of pick and choose what they decide to do here. It looks like Fiddler, you know, decides to go for a T2 vehicle lab here with Cortex. So going to be able to match Lovish in the long term and maybe help his teammates out, maybe give them, you know, some T2 units and just work up a stronger and stronger economy. I mean, I think it's on Lovish to kind of pick and choose. Like, do you go for economy or do you go for, you know, units? You know, you need to have some kind of defense, obviously, but at some point, like, your opponents will just outscale you. So, you know, it's a try to pick and choose and defend, you know, get only enough for what you need and try to maybe greed as much as you can. So, yeah, trying to do that in an efficient way, trying to get a lot of these T1 mechs, you know, rebuilt so that he has some extra economy with that, but also trying to get the T2 mechs upgraded. Meanwhile, over here, we do have some pawns, you know, cleaning up the rest of Orange. And yeah, there's going to be a little bit too much. Actually, a lot of them taking a lot of damage from this beamer. And yeah, a lot more of them got cleaned up there than I would have expected. There they go. The rocket bots take care of it. And now there's a big wreck field for the Teal player here. So yeah, Lovish can really tap out whenever he wants. You know, it's really hard to come back in this kind of position here. But I don't know, you know, it's a skill in and of itself to be able to, like, do this on your own, to be able to re-expand and do things efficiently enough that you get back into the game. And I think that is just such a good skill to have for any kind of situation, being able to grow faster and faster and faster. You know, that'll help you. They'll help you out in large team games. It'll help you out in small team games. They'll help you out in free-for-all and even 1v1. So, you know, just having that ability to build quickly and efficiently and take care of, you know, as many players as possible, you know, using things like Tsars in this situation, you know, to deal, you know, damage from a distance like this is really nice. You know, just start clearing out some of the expansions. You know, taking care of this 4.0 max is a big deal. And if he's able to claim that for himself, he's, you know, in a better position for it. We're seeing the metal jump around a little bit. I'm kind of waiting for it to settle as the reclaim. Well, I guess Teal still has a lot to reclaim, so it's going to continue showing blue with a, you know, with a big, you know, okay, there we go. I'll just, yeah. So 47% extra metal for the blue team without reclaim or something along those lines. There maybe been a little bit of reclaim still, but either way, it's a pretty sizable amount to have, but, you know, that is a lot of metal for one player to have 85 versus the 125 from the other team. You know, the other team has to double up on things. They have to double up on infrastructure. They have to double up on you know, build power, energy, you know, storages, you know, things like that. So, you know, it can still work out for the player with less, you know, a little bit less, because they are able to make those big, strong moves, you know, together as one player. Or you can do things like this, just give it all to, you know, a different player and have them micro it so that you can pay attention to your base a little bit better. Yeah, we're just kind of like waiting to see how Lovish plays this out. He is worried about air, it looks like. Decides to get a couple of these, what are they called? Fury? The Cortex anti-air bot or anti-air vehicle, or T2 anti-air vehicle. Looks like, yeah, Irish, poking around with these nice ranged units is going to be, a nice addition to taking care of even T2 units like this Tsar eventually. But yeah, you just have to be careful about being overrun. These units can just collapse if the blue team gets in there. But yeah, look at the growth of this teal player, just having all these ticks and things everywhere, having all these LLTs, having all these, just like all the reclaim that he's gotten. Even has that lab reclaimed here. And I'm not sure if there's there's a bombing here, I guess, from Fiddler. But yeah, Lovish has these finches out scouting. Or they did scout. But yeah, no bombing follow-up, so I think the blue player is probably just looking at that and saying like, okay, let's get some anti-air out to just make sure that we don't all get bombed here. But yeah, bombing 3 players is kind of a lot. Like eventually, you'll run into a player that just has enough anti-air, and maybe that's a good play for Lovish, but at the same time, it kind of allows for the ground army that they have to get overrun, because if you're spending a lot into air, then all of a sudden you don't have as much spending into ground. So yeah, I mean, it's really just a matter of figuring out, like, is that the play I want to do, or do I want to go for a stronger ground force and just get some light anti-air like these fighters. There is a play up here at the top with these amphibious salamanders, these T2 Cortex bot, or I keep saying bots, vehicles. And this is going to be a nice little way to take out this position here. Just take out some more mexes. Little plays like that, little like interesting like tidbits are a good way to come back into this game. It's harder for the other team to have defenses in every location. So, just getting what you need, or making this kind of technical play in this position is really difficult to deal with. And yeah, blue trying to bomb these salamanders, but the salamanders I think are a little bit too fast. Ticks meanwhile jumping on this army. It's not as coordinated as maybe it could be. The ticks are kind of nice to force the Tsars to kind of do some AoE splash damage to their own units, or to their own player. And yeah, I mean, it just wasn't enough, but yeah, there is some significant damage on these units now. There is a big pawn attack at this bottom, or I guess the center location, and Lovish takes some massive damage. I mean, it's not like in a normal situation, this is probably recoverable, but if you're the only player, it becomes really difficult to recover this kind of situation. He's going to have to rebuild some build power, rebuild a bunch of, wind turbines and things, and I wouldn't be surprised if Lovish taps out pretty soon here. Does have a commander out here being threatened by these grunts, and there's even some Tsars and banishes coming up as well. Let's see, commander count is 2-2, so I mean, maybe they can even find the enemy commanders and take them out. Teal's just kind of sitting here at the bottom. He could potentially get sniped. It takes like, you could probably do it with like 15 banshees. Just come in here, snipe it. And then, Fiddler in response would probably cloak, so maybe you want to go for the Fiddler commander first. But either way, sometimes just knowing where the enemy commanders are and seeing if there's like a play where you can take them out, can give you a win in this weird situation, or in this difficult, trying situation, I should say. But yeah, lots of ticks coming up here. Try to find some more damage. But yeah, the ticks, I think, just not dealing that much damage. Unable to really do too much there. Meanwhile, there is a bunch of pawns coming forward here. It looks like Lovish's commander was taken out at the top left here. And yeah, this T2 lab is under threat. There's an LT, or a twin guard, I should say, being put up here. He's going to have to reclaim this grunts, though. Reclaim the grunt. Reclaim the grunt. Don't let him take out all the build power. Oh, no. All the build power goes down. So yeah, I mean, I guess there's all the cons here that can eat it, but yeah, this lab without the build power there is kind of not looking so good. Lots of bombers coming in here from our teal player, Asrathi, and yeah, I think with that, Lovish just taps out. They call the GG with the boat passing, and yeah, what a showing from our blue team.
Battle ended.
But yeah, with Lovish's play, I think he was playing it pretty well, just making sure that he's rebuilding and taking all those mexes. But end of the day, I think just, you know, three reasonable players against him, you know, is pretty challenging, and the red team loses. Anyways, this is Zeteo. Thanks for watching. You know, check out the rest of the stuff on my channel. I do a lot of 1v1 speedcasts. I'm starting to do some small team speedcasts as well. And if you guys have any constructive criticism for me, I'm happy to take it. I read every comment in the comments, so let me know. Anyways, thanks for watching.